Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we're talking about the Godox SL100 buy. This is their bicolor light for $230. Now, full disclosure, I bought this with my own money to use with the Godox Bowens mount and the Godox projector mount. I will be doing a review of those separately in another video, and we'll be talking about how this works together later on in the video. But I did buy it so that I could project a very nice garden backdrop for my video over on my musical theater channel. It is The Secret Garden, A Bit of Earth video. It is right there. You can go check that out. And let's just talk about the Godox today. Let's jump right into it and let's take a look at what comes inside the box. Inside the box, you'll get the light with a cover, a brand new reflector dish that attaches and is rock solid. And you'll get this super long cord with a tie, Velcro tie here. Now keep in mind, this Velcro tie just barely makes it around, so you may want to replace it. So here we are at 100% power, and as you can see, there really isn't any hotspot in the center. They did a really good job with the distance between the actual Bowens mount and the reflector dish. So all in all, really, really solid. Now let's take a look at some of these controls. Now, you, of course, have your Kelvin, and this goes all the way from 2800 Kelvin all the way to 6500 Kelvin. Let's go back to 5500 Kelvin because that's what I usually use. And, of course, you have your brightness, which lowers in integers of 1 here. And you can go all the way down to 0. Now, here is 1%. And 1%, I'll stand in front of the light so you can see, 1% is still super bright. So you're not going to get that very, very, very faint light out of 1%. So you may need to diffuse this a bit or use a different light. And here's about 50%. And here it is at 100%. So all in all, not bad. Now you do get a button with special effects. Now, a fair warning for those of you who are light sensitive, I'll leave a chapter marker so you can skip this part. Now, you do get effects, but unfortunately, they are just numbered. And that doesn't really tell me what effect it is doing. I can sort of kind of guess, like I can guess that's sort of maybe lightning. I can guess that 9 is probably candle and 10 is probably fire. And you can't really in here adjust the rate. You will be able to on the app, I believe. And yeah, so you do get special effects, nothing to write home about. Now, this thing is super programmable. If you have the app, you can use a whole mess of these. Now, first off, pressing the GR button, that is going to give you the group. This is the group button. That is going to give you group A through F. And then you'll have 0 through, I believe, 9, which is pretty awesome. I like to leave this at A. And then we go to the channel, and up top you'll get your channel readout here. And you can go from 4 all the way up to, I believe you can go all the way up to 32. So there you go. Let's change the channel. I always like to leave this at channel 1. And if you hold both buttons, you can actually change the ID of the light. You can go from off all the way up to 99. And I do believe that 32 through 95 allows you to use Wi-Fi on this thing as well as Bluetooth. But I like to keep it at 1 because I'm only using Bluetooth. And then you do get a Bluetooth resync button here. If you press it, the Bluetooth will flash. Once it stops flashing, you can connect it to your phone. And that's it. That's pretty much all the controls. There is no ballast. It just plugs in, so there is no external battery. And another thing I will caution you about is do not use a power bank with this light. I hooked up a power bank that was more than powerful to handle this, and the fan started going absolutely haywire. So do not use a power bank with this. You will be sorry. It will damage your light. Only used approved Godox power sources. Okay, so right now we are about 2% power. The camera is the Blackmagic 4K with the Gen 5 color science. Tint 19, white balance is 4800 Kelvin, which is my normal balance. ISO 400, iris is at an f4.5, shutter 180 at 24 frames per second. So now let's do a quick auto white balance to see where this lands. We do have the dish on, but there is no diffusion on here. So let's go ahead and hit our auto white balance here. Let's do it a couple of times here. And we kind of get, let's get this in here. We get around between 53 and 5400 Kelvin, so it is pretty accurate depending on where your white balance is exactly. But I'm getting about 52 to 5400 Kelvin when I auto white balance, so about 5200 Kelvin. So you can see this is a little bit far from 5500 Kelvin, but not too far. Now let's go down in the app and let's go down to 3200 Kelvin. And once again, we'll go back to the Blackmagic app here, and let's go ahead and hit an auto white balance. And we get, and I'll do it a couple times here. Really try to get it into the camera here. And we get about 2650 with a tint of 6. So as you can see, still very, very far from 3200. Again, not too far, but it's a little bit further. So this light is not the most accurate light. Now again, some of this may vary with the camera you have and with the white card that you have. This isn't exactly fully white. This is just something I got from a tile manufacturer because I lost my white bounce card. But it's close enough to give you an idea of how far off this light is. Okay, so here we are auto white balanced. We are back in 5500 Kelvin. We're about a 51 with a tint of 11. So it's not too far off here, but let's talk about this app. Now, first off, this app is very, very easy to connect. Keep in mind, every time you shut off the light, you will need to press down the Bluetooth button and resync this thing. It does not hold on to lights if you turn the light fixture off. So keep that in mind. Now, you have this fantastic dial up here, and here's the first problem. One of the reasons I don't like it is because while this thing goes from 6500 Kelvin to 2800 Kelvin, the readout here goes to 5800 Kelvin all the way down to 2600 Kelvin. So it's not the most accurate. When you get to about 30 Kelvin, it starts going up. It's not the most accurate readout there is. You do get this lovely plus and minus button to raise it and lower it in increments of 100, so that is good. And you do get a plus minus green, and you do get a brightness control. Now, where I think a firmware update could really help this is I would like to see a plus and minus on both the green, minus green and the magenta here. Because as you can see, with your finger, it's very hard to get this exactly to 0. You have to kind of do these micro movements. And, come on. And the same can be said for the brightness. Now here we are at 100%. Here is about 49%. And let's go to about 4% here. As you can see, it's very, very difficult to nail in your brightness and your plus minus green. So I really wish that they would do a firmware update to give us a plus and minus like the brightness has. Now, next we're going to take a look at the effects. If you have an aversion to flashing lights, I will leave a chapter marker so you can skip this. But pressing this little top icon here, you have your CCT and your effects. And of course, you get RGB cycle, which does nothing really but flash. You get flash here, laser, lightning, which does work very well, broken bulb, which I could see using, TV I could use. Then you go into candle, fire, and then you have fireworks, which again, police car, fire truck, and ambulance. Again, none of those I would use because you would have to gel several of these to create the effect. And I do have other RGB lights that do the same. So that's it. That's the Phon app. Okay, so let's quickly talk about fan noise. Now, I'm going to be quiet for a minute. I'm wearing a body mic going into the Rode Wireless Go 2, but listen to the fan noise from about 6 feet away. So as you could hear, this is not the quietest fan in the world. It is very, very audible to my ear. Now, Good thing was I was able to stick a 38-inch parabolic softbox onto this thing. It held it no problem, but I could still hear the fan noise. It's much louder, just a little bit louder, I would say, than the Aperture 200X after it's been running for 15 to 20 minutes. This thing, the minute you turn it on, you're going to hear the fan. So that's it. That is the fan noise. So the Godox SL100 buy is a very powerful budget light coming in at $230, much cheaper than its competitors. Now, let's talk about things I don't like. Now, first off, while I do like how strong this mount is, I don't like the yoke here. It is clicky, and it always seems that where I want to aim the light is in between clicks, and nothing is more annoying than when I can't get the light into the right position. So that is a major, major downside. The other major downside is while the Bowens mount is super strong, the Bowens mount adapter and projector do not fit this light. Anybody out there telling you that this is going to work with this light is lying to you. I watched several videos where people were like, oh yeah, it works with everything from the SL series. It does not. So make sure that this is listed when you're buying a light like this or you're buying anything from Godox. Now, I'll just show you right here. This is just way too thick, and this mount is way too shallow. The reason I think this is shallow is because they wanted to eliminate the hotspot on this light, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this mount is not going to fit. And yes, I will be doing a review of this mount and of the projector when I get a light in here that can actually fit this. This does not fit my Aperture 300D either. So just keep that in mind. And let's talk about some of the cons with the app. Now, while the app works fairly well, there is no plus and minus to fine-tune adjust the brightness or the plus minus green. I really wish they added a plus or minus. You're kind of like on the pad just trying to like move your finger and get it to the right percentage, and it's very difficult. So I think a firmware update there would be greatly appreciated and would help everybody. But the Phon app works very well. It connects. Other than that, I really don't have any problems with the Phon app. Now, when using the Phon app and on this thing, you do get special effects. Now, they don't tell you what special effects are on here. They're just numbered, and I really wish they would have just put what they are rather than numbers. And using the Phon app, you do have access to several special effects. Only a handful of them can you actually really use with this thing. And they're mainly there for other lights. So let's talk about the pros, because there are a lot of pros with this light. Now, it does have a piece of plastic on the front to protect it. So if you want to use this outside, no bugs are going to get burned onto your cob. It has a very strong, very solid Bowens mount. It is made of solid metal. It does have some ABS plastic, but it is all very solid. I love this mount. This is the strongest mount of any of its competitors. They really did a great job making sure that this was solid, sends the clickiness of the adjustment here, but it just feels solid. The controls on back, you get these very nice buttons, you get a hard designated switch, you get very, very nice, although plastic, but still solid knobs, and you get a super bright screen that you can view from any angle. Thank you, Godox, for doing that. I can't tell you how annoying it is to get a light that's really, really good, and then you can't see the screen at all, and there's no Phon app. So good job on that. The Phon app is decent for this, and yes, for all you photographers and filmmakers, you do get an umbrella mount here, which is awesome, and you do get a super, super long cord. So all in all, the Godox SL100 buy is a super powerful light. It is not the most color accurate light, but it is a very budget-friendly light. Now, who is this for? If you're in a studio like me, if you're doing narrative, then this is a fantastic light for you. I would not recommend this for interviews. The fan noise is pretty loud, and by that, it's just a little bit louder than the 200X after the Aperture 200X has been running for about 15-20 minutes. The minute you turn this on, you are going to hear a fan noise. So if fan noise is something that bothers you, or you're going to have a microphone near this thing, I say pick something else. When I actually had this thing behind a 38-inch modifier, and yes, the mount can hold a 38-inch modifier, so no worries there. but it did limit the noise a little bit, but I could still hear it from 6 feet away. So just keep in mind you're going to want to have this in the background or somewhere far away from your audio. So that's it. Those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.